How to deal with death anxiety. The fear of death is one of the oldest fears of the human race, stemming largely from the fact that nobody is entirely sure what's on the other side. For some instances, the fear of death becomes even worse when the person is suffering from a terminal illness and is inevitably aware that his time is almost up. This feeling, sometimes referred to as death anxiety, is often accompanied by bouts of depression and experience a number of problems connected to their interpersonal relationships. This death anxiety can sometimes be a problem for the people around the dying, though some psychological side effects have also been observed. For the most part, this problem is largely ignored in favor of either prolonging the patient's life or making their last days as comfortable and painless as possible. For most medical professionals, the physical aspect of death is far simpler to deal with than the emotional and psychological facets of it. However, fairly recently, more and more people are starting to pay attention to the problems posed by death anxiety and the measures that could be taken to help reduce the emotional pain of those involved. Inevitably, this includes both the dying patient himself and the people around him, who would have to deal with the emotional reckoning even after the patient has passed away. The depression that a person can feel because death anxiety is no easier to deal with than regular depression. In fact, since the inevitability of death is looming over the horizon, it is quite possible that the problem can be worse than normal. This is true for both the patient and the patient's loved ones, who would have to also deal with the grim reality that someone they care about is going to die. When taken into context, the depression could easily be seen as something that worsens even beyond death. Recent findings show that support groups are often good for helping people emotionally prepare for death. This is for both patients and the patient's families, who all might need just a little extra help to cope with the arrival of death. Others find it helpful to be exposed to others who are suffering or have suffered through the same problems. Most psychologists believe that being exposed to others that feel the same pressures and problems can be instrumental in helping someone cope with both the loss of a loved one. Standard support materials, such as magazines, pamphlets, and the like, have been in circulation among the terminally ill for a few years now. Most mental health experts note that these do have an observable positive effect on a person's overall mood during periods of death anxiety, but they often are not sufficient to keep someone from sinking into depression. However, these can be helpful and are usually found readily in the offices of doctors and specialists who regularly deal with this sort of problem.